Let's have a look at how a failure to collect data properly can have an impact on public policy. And by that I mean implementing infrastructure to make things safer for cyclists. So my starting point here is going to be the traffic committee meetings for a Canada Bay Council meeting in 2019. And you can see here in this bit that I've outlined in red that an issue was raised with the council about doing some work in this particular street. And one of the first things the council staff do, the traffic staff, is they go off to the RMS safety database and have a look at the crash data. And it actually says here, a review of the most recent available 5-year period of serious crash data provided by the RMS indicates a moderate crash history at the intersection consistent with, blah, blah, blah. So council are using this data to make decisions about whether to do particular works or not. And if you have an incomplete data set, well, they're going to make perhaps the wrong decisions on things because, the data is giving them the wrong impression of what's going on. Well, let's go and have a look at what this RMS data set actually is. So RMS has now been rebranded as Transport for New South Wales, and they have the Centre for Road Safety within Transport for New South Wales that pulls in the data from lots of different places. And, as they say at the top here, they're linking data from New South Wales Health, the State Insurance Regulatory Authority, iCare, and the Police Force, and Transport for New South Wales. So that's all good. They're taking hospital admission data and linking it to police data, etc. But I want to draw your attention to this bit down the bottom about change in serious injury numbers. And you can see here that in 2017, New South Wales Health made a change to its hospital's admission policy, whereas emergency department only admissions were no longer considered admitted patients and included in the admitted patient data collection, APDC. Oh, they love their acronyms, don't they? So the reduction in serious injury numbers reported in recent editions of the Serious Injury Quarterly Bulletin during 2018 can now be largely explained by this change in admission policy. Right. So we're seeing the government's probably going, oh, this is fantastic. We're seeing a decline in serious injuries amongst cyclists, for instance. Well, why are we seeing that? Well, it's quite possible that we're having these cyclists brought into emergency. They just need stitching up, or they just need a bone setting or something like that. They don't need to stay in overnight, so they don't get admitted to a ward, or they're not banged up so badly they need to be sent off to the orthopaedic ward, or they don't have concussion, they don't need a hole drilled in their skull or something like that. They haven't got organs crushed or anything. They might get sent home. And because of that, because they are an emergency department only admission, they're not showing up in the statistics. It's not that the number of crashes is going down. It's not that our roads are safer. They're just logging the data differently. So bear that in mind when we get into this. Now, what they do is they give you this wonderful interactive map, or a whole series of maps actually, that you can go and play with to see where the crashes are and the severity and what caused them, like people who adored, etc. And you've got all your local government areas as a drop down here, and obviously we've gone for Canada Bay, and there's all sorts of different types of crash you can choose, and I've obviously gone with pedal cyclists because that's what we're interested in. And you can see they've got data between 2015 and 2019, and I presume in 6 months' time they'll go back and stuff in all the data for 2020. They don't, add to it each month or each quarter. They wait till the year is over before updating it. So anyone that's had a crash in Canada Bay in 2020 so far, sorry, you're not in this database. And unless you met the criteria of having a police report and possibly being admitted to more than just emergency, you might not show up in it either. So it's quite possible there's been crashes all over the place, and because they don't meet the criteria of being able to be matched between hospital admission data and a police report, boom, thrown out, did not exist. So that's why we've got to be really, really careful when council's making decisions on certain things. And you look at something like the East-West Cycleway, where cyclists were asking for crossings of busy roads to be improved to make them safer. And council will look at the data at the moment and go, well, we don't see an issue with crossing of that particular road because there's no crashes reported there. Now, the council is They won't actually go out and stand there at 8 o'clock in the morning and have a look at people crossing the road. They're relying on what the council staff are telling them. They won't, use their eyes and actually go and have a squiz. It's based off this. So if this is based on incomplete data, then their decisions are obviously going to be skewed that way. Now what I did is I dumped out this list of stuff here. Whoops, that sent it into a bit of a fit by the look of it. Let's have a look at what the results were. So 2015 there were 11 cyclist crashes in the database for Canada Bay. Now I've also included Burwood because the police local area command covers both the Canada Bay and Burwood council areas. Not exactly, but it's kind of a match. So you could say there were 12 in total in the Burwood LAC in that year. And you can see, adding them up over the years, there's been a total of 69 over 5 years for an average of just under 14 per year. So a little bit over 1 per month finding its way into the system. Strathfield, by comparison, they're averaging 2 per year. Ooh, okay, interesting. Either not many people cycle in Strathfield or it's exceptionally safe. Having lived there, I would say not many people cycle there, but flippin' heck, it's dangerous. The Inner West, you got to remember this is an amalgamation now of 3 councils. So this is the old Leichhardt, Ashfield, and whatever the heck the other one was. And they've got a lot of crashes reported, like 3 times as much as Canada Bay and Burwood combined. Now, one thing we have discovered though is if you have a crash, like you get hit by a car and the ambulance turns up and the ambos check you over and the police turn up, there is no guarantee the police will actually bother to log a report for that crash. In fact, you'd probably have to go and twist their arms to get them to do it. And, probably going to make the excuse of, it's lots of paperwork, it's lots of work, blah, blah, blah. Well, guys, you're logging less than 1 a month at the moment. Even if the number of crashes is underreported by 50%, you'd be going from logging 1 cyclist crash a month to 2. I mean, really, is that the end of the world? Is that such an enormous paperwork and bureaucratic burden that the entire policing system in, the Burwood local area command is going to collapse, and there's going to be riots and cats and dogs living in the streets and all that kind of stuff? No, I don't think so. I really don't. But of course, the other issue is, you have a crash, the ambos turn up, police turn up. The police might actually log a report, but if you don't get taken to hospital and admitted to emergency, like if you just get up and walk home because you're banged up, but you don't have any broken bones, you didn't get knocked out, you're not bleeding badly. You might have abrasions and stuff, but you look at them and go, I'll just go home and scrub them out, I'm okay. You're not going to end up in the collision report. So we could have all these walking wounded, walking around with, abrasions, even broken bones, concussions, even stitches. I could imagine, you get sliced up by a car, you need half a dozen stitches in your arm. The ambulance takes you off to emergency, doctor stitches you up, and you don't get admitted. You're an emergency only admittance. Now, you'd probably view that personally as being reasonably serious. Now, okay, for statistical reasons and all the rest of it, you're probably going to end up as a non-serious case. It's going to be like a minor or a moderate crash. Although you might think that bleeding all over the place and having half a dozen stitches is actually pretty serious, but from a data logging perspective, they're going to go, nah, you don't count that much. And you may not end up in here. So, there could be people that turn up at a council meeting to talk about the dangers of a particular stretch of road, how dangerous it is to cyclists, and the council go, well, it's not dangerous at all. The database tells us it's not dangerous, and they roll up their leg and they go, well, I've got 20 stitches in my leg that say otherwise. Well, no, that crash didn't happen. Forget about that, unless there's 2 points of data that can be matched to prove that crash occurred. That crash didn't occur, so that's a safe piece of road. You go, but look at the stitches in my leg. That's from being hit by a car there. Oh no, database says no. So, it's a pretty lousy system at the moment, and I think people just need to be aware that if they're using this data to make decisions, they need to be aware of the shortfalls in this data. They need to be able to look at ways to fill in the gaps in the data to have a more complete picture of what's going on. This view of just mindlessly relying on the data and assuming that the data is complete and covers everything and there's no holes in it is stupid. It's really stupid. It's going to lead you to just do dumb things, so don't do it. Acknowledge your shortcomings, go and have a look for yourself, open your eyes, and make better decisions.